Canada is under attack. Canada is under siege. Canada is being invaded. All while everyone is so fatigued from politics. Is Canada going to actually do anything about what's going on? That's what we're going to take a look at today, among many other things. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. This is going to be a good one. I really encourage you guys to stick around for the full thing because there's a lot of different topics to cover. But first, of course, we're going to start off with the polls. You have the Conservatives sitting at 211 projected seats. They need a bottom line of 172, and their current bottom line is 184. With a top end of 232. They have come down a little bit in the polls recently. It's a darn shame that that's happening. I'm not exactly sure why. Even analysts are a little bit confused as to why. I don't think it's anything that the Conservatives have done. I think it's a little bit more of the the targeted attacks that the Liberals are doing, right? How they're trying to promote their agenda to younger people, and maybe that's why they're getting a little bit more popularity within the younger demographic, but it's not going to last long. I mean, there's still 18 months or whatever till the next election, or so they say. I don't know. They keep moving the election back further, so we're going to have to wait and see how that works. 99% likely winning the most seats, 99% likely winning a majority government. So everything is looking good until you realize Pride season is here. That's right. We're in Pride season until Christmas, probably, or until December 25th. We don't really call it Christmas anymore in Canada. I'm not sure why. Who knows what or the reason why anything happens in Canada, but all we can say is rainbows, rainbows, and rainbows. Canadian Prime Minister official account says as festivities and events kick off Pride season, we continue to stand with 2S LGBTQI+, no more L, or 2SL. They keep changing it. It's hard to keep up. Communities and allies, and work toward building an inclusive future where everyone is free to be who they are and love who they love openly and proudly. Except if you're straight. If you're straight, you're the devil. Speaking of the devil, let's take a look at what's going on in Union Station in Toronto. Toronto is under attack, bro. This is crazy. I don't recognize it. This is Union Station. The only Canadian flag is the one hanging on the wall while pro-Palestine takes over Union Station in Toronto. So somebody says, this is insane. I wonder if Canada is going to just roll over and give their cities away like they did in the UK. And to think Pride starts June 1st in Toronto, this is going to be an interesting month in Toronto, which, I mean, if you're not tying the two together, I'll lay it out nice and easy. Middle Eastern people don't like 2S LGBTQI+ communities. They don't like the rainbow, and now it's rainbow season. So, let's see what happens when wokeism meets radicalism. This is going to be pretty crazy. I do have another clip of Union Station from today, actually, from the river to the sea. Yeah, kind of crazy. I don't really know. This is Canada. We're not even involved in that war. In fact, Canada's sending a lot of help to Gaza. We're bringing Gazonians here, despite what the majority of Canadians don't want, including but not limited to Doug Ford himself, who doesn't want any more immigrants coming to Ontario, or so he says. I don't understand. What the hell is Canada going to do? What is Canada going to do? Realistically, like, what is Canada going to do? What do you want Canadians to do? There's nothing we can do. Why is this happening? Kind of crazy what's going on. But let's take a look at what happens when people are fed up, because that's what's happened in the UK. The UK is very much fed up, and this is what's going on today. Great Britain is back. Everybody is standing up. So tens of thousands of British patriots marching with Tommy Robinson to retake London from the jihadists who have held the city hostage since October 7th. That is a lot of people that are standing up against the Free Palestine like movements and stuff like that. So we're going to have to wait and see if this happens in any other countries. But I'll pass the question off to you. Do you think this is going to happen in Canada? Do you think Canadians are going to stand up and take their country back, so to speak? Or are we just going to keep letting, is the government going to keep letting the Free Palestine protests and whatever the hell they're called continue? I'll pass the question off to you guys. What do you think about that? Next up, we have Doug Ford, who's doubling down on his recent comments where he does not want immigrants to come to Ontario and cause more chaos like they have been. There's a really big increase in crime and auto theft from migrant demographics. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's a shocker to everybody. And Doug Ford warned immigrants, saying, if you're going to come to Canada, don't you dare bring your troubles here. And when the media gave him a second chance, he doubled down. That's what we're going to take a look at right now here. Doug Ford speaks about his comments suggesting immigrants were behind the school shooting. I stick with what I said. Well, I mean, you could just not say words and take action and stop immigration. Huh.
I stick with what I said. We're tired of lawlessness from anyone. It doesn't matter you're here, you're new, or whatever. It's very, very clear. My phone is blowing up from every community saying you're bang on. People are tired of getting their doors kicked in, guns put to their head. People here in Brampton that are being extorted, which I've never seen before. Enough's enough. 99.9% of everyone gets along, and that's what I believe in. And there's no premier ever that's went on the news 10 million times. I want more people coming to Canada. We need the people. I love every single community equally.
He had us in the first half, lost us in the second. We do not need more people coming to Canada. We don't even have enough infrastructure here to house and accommodate the people that we currently have. So it doesn't make any sense at all. And you're going to see later, even Australian news is saying Canada is pretty messed up. But before we switch over across the pond and go all the way to Australia, we have Jordan Peterson, who has this to say about Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau recently made a tweet, which I commented on, where he said a synagogue in Vancouver was attacked last night in another disgusting act of anti-Semitism. We cannot let this hate or these acts of violence stand. This is not the Canada we want. I replied with, you brag about bringing in thousands of people who hate Jews and then you're shocked when Jews are attacked. Are you mentally unwell? Kind of censored myself there a little bit. That's not exactly the words that I wanted to say, but that's what I went with. This is precisely the Canada you brought into being, says Jordan Peterson, with every one of your lying gestures, with every pathetic move of moralizing self-promotion, with all your victimizer propaganda. And people are very much agreeing with what Jordan Peterson has to say. This is the Canada that Justin Trudeau has created. And he just doesn't see it as a problem. He sees that there are problems, but he doesn't view his policies, his mistakes as actual mistakes. He thinks that Canada needs more people. We need more diversity. We need to keep doing what we're doing because that's going to fix all of our problems. But that's not the truth. And people in Canada are fed up with that. And it's being noticed across the world. Let's take a look at this video here.
Trudeau keeps bringing all these people in and there's no housing. And the food banks are dry. There's nobody giving to food banks. He brings these people in and they don't have jobs. They don't have... So how are they going to live without housing and without jobs to buy groceries? Like, it's just absolutely insane.
That was a Canadian woman there calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau absolutely insane for allowing migrants into the country while there is a severe housing crisis and an unprecedented demand for food banks. If you weren't aware, Canada's housing crisis is one of the country's great social and economic challenges due to the high interest rates, unaffordability and delayed construction. Canada's growing population is basically outpacing the number of homes available. There needs to be about 3.5 million homes built before 2030. This is coupled with the fact that immigration numbers have increased a lot. Since 2021, Canada has let in over 960,000 migrants, which is almost double the yearly average of about 260,000. Welcome to the Culture Wars wrap-up. Let's get into it.
That is insane. 3.5 million homes in the next 6 years, yet they haven't even done that in the past 15 years. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, this is why we're doomed to fail. And Justin Trudeau himself has said that he doesn't want to devalue the cost or the price of houses. He wants houses to retain their value, but that can only happen if they're limited, right? The more you have of something, the less it's worth because it's so easily accessible. So I don't understand the logic. He seems to be living in flu land. It doesn't make any sense at all. We're going to switch a little bit to a mainstream media video here that says Conservatives are still ahead in the polling despite the drop. So let's take a look at mainstream media's analysis of what's happening in the polls.
A new Nanos poll looks at ballot support for Canada's political parties, and here to break it down, the man himself, Nick Nanos, Chief Data Scientist at Nanos Research. Nick, good morning as always, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Roger.
Okay, let's talk parties right now. PCs have dropped. When was the last time we saw that?
Well,
don't say last month.
But Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have been riding a roller coaster, positive roller coaster if you're a Conservative. You know, they're still at 42% nationally, which is an excellent score. And, you know, the Liberals are at 26. Roger, if you remember, they've had upwards of a 20-point advantage. Now it's a 15 to 16-point advantage. But, you know, the reality is that when we look at the numbers, you can see that at least that, you know, that's still there. And on the preferred prime minister front, you know, Pierre Poilievre still way ahead, 37. He's unchanged in the last 4 weeks. Justin Trudeau, 22%, up 3 points. That's kind of on the cusp of the margin of error. And Jagmeet Singh back at 16 points.
But they're interesting. Trudeau and Singh are both up, but Poilievre is only down slightly. Where'd those numbers? Where'd they steal from?
Well, you know, what's interesting is that on that front, what we saw was the People's Party down, and also a little bit of a wiggle on the Bloc and the Green Party. But when you look at the big national numbers, you can see the Conservatives at almost 42%, the Liberals at 26%, NDP at about 19%, with the NDP and the Liberals up and the Conservatives down. But you know what, Roger? Anyway, you cut it. I feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. You remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
Wake up. You know, you're punching the clock, and yeah, Conservatives 42, still ahead by a significant margin. So
still ahead by a long shot, and I don't think we're going to see any drastic changes in the Conservatives in their popularity. I think it's only going to become more and more apparent that Justin Trudeau and Liberals are absolutely doomed to fail, which is why they are bumping the election further so that they can get those pensions, right? I covered that in yesterday's video, I believe, explaining that right now, the election, the federal election, the next scheduled federal election is October 20th. That's already been pushed back. It's supposed to be like the 15th or the 10th or something in there. They pushed it back already a little bit. But it just so happens that there's some sort of Sikh holiday or Indian holiday or something happening on October 20th. So they want to push it to October 27th, 7 days into the future. Ironically, it happens that within that 7 days, there will be 80 members of parliament who will then be eligible for their pension, which is going to cost taxpayers $125 million over the lifetime of their pensions to pay that out, which is a lot of money. If they don't push it back, then those 80 MPs may not be eligible for their pensions if they don't get reelected. So there's a lot of fishiness happening. This is a conspiracy. This comes from CTV themselves. Let's hear it right from them right now.
Rachel, you've been doing some great reporting on this. So what is the latest?
So today there was the first round of debate on this bill, and we heard very clearly that the government is now in a position where if they want to pass this bill, they might have to make amendments to this section. That's because the NDP have said they're going to be bringing forward an amendment trying to keep the date October 20th. The Conservatives very clearly against this Liberal pension plan, as they called it. And then we were thinking maybe the Liberals would look to the Bloc because more than half their caucus are among these 80 MPs who could secure a pension. Well, No, they are also against this for a few reasons. The pensions is one of them. They're also concerned about making religious accommodations. The government said initially in making the suggestion of moving it to the 27th was connected to Diwali and a number of other related holidays, as well as if they were to bump the election to that date, you'd be running up against a Quebec vote. So largely it's looking like right now the government is going to have to go back to the drawing board on this piece of the bill, but there is still support for other elements of this legislation. We're talking about measures to make it harder to meddle and easier for Canadians to cast their ballots.
Right. And Carl, what's interesting in this, and the breakdown of it, is 32 Conservatives, 22 Liberals, 19 Bloc, 6 New Democrats, 1 Independent whose pensions are potentially on the line. There's a bit of a vested interest for some of these MPs.
For sure. And that's why it felt like it was so blatant that this move was done. Because if it was just for religious accommodation, why don't you move it to the 13th, like a week prior, right, not so you don't have to qualify for those pensions. Like, so I don't know why they did this move, and I don't understand why it took so long for somebody to say, I'm moving an amendment to get rid of that provision. But I guess they heard from some of their constituents, and they thought better of it, and now it's moving forward, and I think the government will have no choice, if they want the rest of the bill to go through, than to remove this this proposal to move the election on the 27th.
Yeah, and Melanie, Conservatives noted that this could cost Canadian taxpayers millions of dollars. Is that where Canadians can actually really relate to this, other than when they're going to cast their ballots?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that they're changing the election date so that 22 Liberal caucus members can get their pension, so they don't have to run again, essentially. Or
32 Conservatives as well, though, Melanie, obviously.
Oh, yeah. But all those Conservatives are saying we don't need this. We're ready to run on our record and earn our pension by getting reelected. Whereas the Liberals are many of these individuals may not be planning to run again, or they are anticipating that they're going to lose their seats in the next election. If you look at the polling, and just to Carl's point, there actually is a way that they could do this. Still, they could test the confidence supply agreement. They could make this a vote of non-confidence if they want to. And so the Liberals could try to push this forward. I'm not sure if they'll actually go that far with this one, but it does indicate to me that there is a lot of difficulty in caucus management right now with the Liberals, and that's what this is really about.
Sabrina, do you think that's what this is really about?
I mean, selfishly, as an Albertan that has all of the municipal elections also scheduled for October 20th, I think that it will wreak havoc to have all of that happen on one day. So I'm interested to actually see how it plays out and how Alberta might have to react to that. I don't think it's a caucus management problem. I mean, I think that this is extremely, overall, this bill is very inside baseball. And you think that Canadians don't care about politics. They certainly don't care that much about talking about MP pensions. So I think it's a really interesting management that
it's because they don't know. It's not because Canadians don't care. They don't know. This stuff only gets buried. It gets talked about on mainstream media. Of course, they're doing it right now. But why isn't the headline, why this banner at the bottom, all opposition parties opposed to delaying fixed election date? Why not say Trudeau is trying to get pensions for MPs, or Trudeau's changing the election date, like never been done before? Like, why not change your headline? So it's not that people don't care. People absolutely do. I mean, anything Trudeau does is heavily scrutinized under the microscope. If it's not by mainstream media, which they haven't really been doing a great job of that historically, it's by, independent people, right? Such as myself. I analyze almost every single move that he does. And there's a bunch of us that do the same thing. So it's not that people don't care, man. It's that it doesn't get advertised and pushed out as much. It's just very disingenuous. And people are very much waking up to the fact that, look, this guy is going to do anything and everything he can to gouge people more for money. It's so selfish. It's so narcissistic. And it should be illegal, if it's not already, to change how our democracy works. I understand it's just a date that you vote on, but you can't just change history to benefit yourself in the short term. There's immense repercussions for that. At least there should be. It's sickening. It's disgusting. People are seeing through it. And if you don't care about it, then that's part of the problem. The people that don't care, that don't want to talk about it, don't want to engage in this conversation, then that is part of the problem. A lot of those people are younger, such as 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds. So why would they ever consider lowering the voting age to 16 when the youth generally doesn't care about that? It's sickening and it's gross. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you support the election being changed to the 27th, push it back a week from it already being changed, so that, you know, we can pay out $120 million for pensions? Do you support that, or do you think that that's corrupt? Let me know down below in the comments. There you go. We're going to figure out the answers at the end of this video here. That's where we're going to end the video, folks. Let us know what you guys think. On your way out, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.